Realized that that was going to happen and there would be pictures of Cambodia and even our school. I think my presentation is finished now, so thank you. No, it's really amazing. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate being able to talk a little bit about my school in a little more detail. It's really one experimental school in the world, and as was already stated in the video, the reason that we started this school in Cambodia is that there's a real need for change. People, even after the Khmer Rouge, are still very skeptical about learning, about school. The economy, as you saw in the video, is not doing very well, and there's not a lot of trust. So there's a real need for something radical to happen, and that's where our Liger came in. So in 2012 we built it, and this is a drone. Our students took a drone picture of the campus. It's built in a mango farm outside of Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Really, the basic goal of our school is to create leaders who will change their country in a meaningful, positive way. So that's a really big goal, but it's real, and we think about that goal all the time. Our goal is not just to get students into university. It's really about having them become leaders that can positively change their own country. So a little bit about the school. I think you saw a little bit of it in the video, so I won't spend much time on this, but it is a secondary school only, and we do really select students from all over the country. Almost every province is represented at our boarding school, so students live there full time, and they go home 6 times during the year. Yes. Another big feature is that we have experiential and project-based learning. That's a big theme. That's what we spend a lot of our time doing. But we also take advantage of opportunities as they arise. So we don't just have the same curriculum all the time. Our curriculum is constantly changing based on the opportunities that happen in the country and around us. We base a lot of our work on competencies, and these leadership competencies and core values. We want to create ethical, competent leaders. We also will prepare our students, are being prepared for university, international university, and entrepreneurship, so they're entrepreneurship ready, and really they have the skills needed for life for their next 30 years, 40 years. So these are some of the leadership competencies that we think a lot about at Liger. We take these very seriously, and we focus a lot of our learning around these competencies. Core values are very important for us in Cambodia as well, and really we embed those in all of our curriculum. We celebrate these core values every week with our students through people who have done amazing things with these different core values. And it's really important in a place like Cambodia, and probably working with values in schools is good in any country, including my own country of the US. We need more core values there. Another thing that we think about is time and how we use time at our school at Liger. Most schools, according to my own study, have about 1,000 to 1,200 hours of school during a school year. That's really not very much time. For us, we have 6 years to create game-changing students. That's really difficult. So 1,200 hours is not that long of a school year. And so we really think about that time a lot. So we literally chart out our time. This is our senior cohort, the older students that was talked about in the video. They're going to graduate next year and go on to universities in Cambodia or in other places in the world, or start a business. But this is how we use our time. This is really important for us to think about and literally map out our time. There's a lot of pressure for all of us in schools, for me, for my whole career, of having regular classes all the time. As you can see, we do some of those things, but about half of our time right now is used for explorations. Explorations are our project-based, experiential-based learning. My feeling is that we want to actually push that to get closer to 100%. So to rethink that time that we're using for some of these other things. A little bit about the model. We do 4 kinds of things at Liger. We have expertise classes and seminars. These are developing expertise to build upon other projects, larger projects that we might be doing. So for example, learning about video editing so that you can then, if you're making a documentary for one of the larger projects. We also have something called advanced enrichments, which we expose our younger students to more traditional courses such as world geography or something like that, which they've never had in Cambodia. They come to our school in grade 7 and they haven't had a lot of different experiences. But essentials and explorations are 2 other big things that we do. So a little bit about essentials. And as was already stated in the video, we have core classes in Khmer literacy. That's the Cambodian language. We take that very seriously because if you're going to be a leader of Cambodia, you should be really well educated in your own language. English literacy, math, and science. But a lot of what we do, even in those courses, are essential courses, core courses. We try to use work that can be applied to the larger project. So, for example, if they're learning chemistry, we often try to apply that to other bigger projects that we're working on, such as climate change using chemistry.
Slower again,
okay.
Please.
Explorations are experiential, project-based part of that work. Again, as we've stated, that's about 50% of our time right now. A few features of what we do during that time. So what does our school really look like? So these explorations are usually focused on solving real-world problems around them. All of our students do not do the same curriculum. So everybody's not doing the same thing at Liger. So it's not one subject, one curriculum for everybody. The world really is our classroom. We spend quite a bit of time out in the community, and we spend a lot of time virtually. Our students are interconnecting with people all over the world on a daily basis. Some of our explorations are short, some are long. So we go from some things are 1 week, and we have projects that go for 3 years. And we'll talk about some of those in a minute. Some are group, so we believe in working in collaboration and teaching all of that. And we also do individual work, and the students do both types of those things. Almost all of our projects are interdisciplinary, combining at least 2 or 3 subjects into one larger project, which might seem a little daunting if you haven't had a chance to do things like that, but it's not really that difficult when you have real-world problems that you're solving, and it usually involves more than one subject areas. Almost all of our projects involve mentors, and that's a local mentor or an international mentor that comes in virtually or whatever. And lastly about this is failure is an option at Liger. Many things don't work well, and so students learn a lot from what didn't go well, from failure. So that's actually a really important part. So let's just talk about I'll just give you a few examples of some of the things that we're doing. One type of exploration is organizing things. And you can see that we have a group of students working on a beach cleanup on the coast of Cambodia. But our students, in this case, had to organize this event for hundreds of people from the communities. They organized media. They had to advertise. They did the reporting. Tons of trash was cleaned up. But the amazing, really, leadership skills that they took away was how do you get something done? How do you organize a really big event? It wasn't just about beach cleanup. Our students also were learning about climate change, the science and the politics of climate change, as many students are all over the world. But our students went further and wanted to create a climate summit. So they invited high school students from all over the area, all over the region, and came and wanted to really broaden the discussion about climate change. And they did everything. They organized all the events, all the transportation, all the budget, and everything. We currently have a team of students working off the coast of Cambodia on an island, working with an organization that is about marine preservation. So our students are building artificial reefs. They're finding alternatives to illegal fishing. They're helping to establish one of the first marine preservation places in Cambodia off the coast. So what's amazing about this project is that it's real, it's authentic, it's physically and academically very rigorous. So the students work with marine biologists from around the world 4 times during the year for a week at a time. So it's a 3-year project. Every student has their own marine project that they're working on underwater. They're all scuba divers. They wrote a grant to fund this whole project. So this project doesn't come out of our school budget, which isn't very big, and they're probably the only high school scuba divers in the country. But imagine the variety of skills you learn in such a project when you're in high school. Another type of project is really about exploring culture and history, which I thought would be some examples would be really appropriate for the kinds of things we're talking about today. There's music during the Khmer Rouge, beautiful, amazing music that elders would sing all over Cambodia in their rural villages. Our students thought it would be great to capture that and preserve that for future people in Cambodia. So they created a documentary, a website, an audio CD. They got a chance to interact with elderly people in a way that most people really don't get to from most schools. So it's an example of a learning experience that really helps students to know their country, to care about their country, and to really celebrate their country. Amazing project. So another cultural thing is a very simple project about working with documenting the traditional foods of Cambodia. It seems like a really simple idea, and it is, but this kind of thing is beyond food. So students really learn the skills of interviewing, of using technology, of their writing skills have to be really good. And then they also really develop a cultural understanding of their country. Our students produce a lot publish and produce a lot of different products, books, magazines, documentaries, real research documents, and more. So let's just talk about books for a minute. So our students have published a variety of books over the past few years, one being The Economy of Cambodia. Our students wrote this book, and they raised money to get it printed, and it's now distributed around the country. Our Minister of Education in Cambodia gave a speech recently, and he said that he thinks 1 million, up to 1 million people have read that book in schools around the country. So imagine if you are 12 years old and you were participating in such a thing, that your writing was read by 1 million people. We are just finished the Geography of Cambodia book. You can see the cover up there. This is completely written by our junior cohort. They're 12 and 13 years old. They traveled around the country and documented every province in the country in a 220-page book. They also wrote a grant and got $10,000 to print it for all the schools, and they will be distributing it now over the next few months to 1,200 schools in the next few months. And lastly, our wildlife book. Our students wrote a book about the wildlife of Cambodia, which often is very endangered. So you can see the picture on the bottom here of the art that went into that book. They sold that at an art show, and they raised several $1,000s to print books to distribute around the country. They also did a crowdfunding project besides writing the book for $8,000 to be able to distribute the book around the country. So these are really powerful learning experiences. So another thing is impact. So our students really work on trying to create, we want them to have an impact, be a leader now, not just when they graduate. So this project is working with the Khmer Sight Foundation, where basically an organization does cataract surgery on elderly people. And our students go with them to their village. They speak in their language. They comfort them when they bring them into the city to get this eye surgery, and sometimes get to see people to see for the first time in years. So our students get to be a part of this whole process. They get to watch not help with the surgeries, but watch. So that's an amazing project, because you get to not only learn science and learn about medical things, but you get to really literally change lives. And speaking of that, what better way would there be to learn engineering skills than to make prosthetics for animals? So this, as we speak, our students are working on, these students are working on designing a wheelchair for a dog named Quinn, who has no back legs. So they are working on that to really change the lives there. So they're learning engineering skills, but they're applying it to their country, to their people, to things that really matter. Dengue fever is a big problem in Cambodia, and so our students have been learning the science of diseases, and dengue fever is one. And so they are working with this farmer to help them understand how dengue fever works, so on. I'm just going to skip that one. The Ministry of Education had a challenge of wanting to have, they have a problem of getting technology into government schools, because there's no money, and often schools don't even have electricity. So our students took on the challenge and basically have built 2 computer labs, designed and built 2 low-cost solar-powered computer labs for government schools. So this project involves the national education people, the local schools, the kids. So our kids have designed all of this. Both the technical design is very difficult, and so is the working and writing the curriculum for how do the schools use the computers and so on. The last example I want to give you is a group that I'm personally working with quite a bit right now, and this team of students is literally creating the Cambodian space program. There is no space program in Cambodia. So their goal is to launch the first Cambodian satellite next year, and to create excitement in the country about space to other high school students. So they're working very hard on that. They work with mentors from around the world that are literally space scientists, both virtual, and sometimes we've had some people come and visit who help them out. So they're also have to, by the way, gain the physics knowledge to build their actual satellite and their ground station. So it's pretty amazing. Entrepreneurship, we believe a lot in that, and I'll just say that we have several businesses going right now, including a bike touring business and consulting work that our students get paid for. They literally run some businesses, which is really helpful, and the money that they earn from these businesses is going to their university tuition. We also do a lot of different kinds of competition, and I won't go into that in great depth, but we believe that competition is really great for kids, and our kids participate in a lot of different things and get exposure to a lot of other people. And we require internships of everyone, so that gives them a chance to really experience the things that they've learned, that they're applying. And they also get a chance to go out and try different careers as people do around the world from high schools. So just a couple of quick things. We have to rethink teaching at our school, because you can see the different things that we're doing. We don't have subject area specialists at our school in every subject area. We don't want to have subject area specialists. We want our students and staff to work together. We want our teachers to be facilitators of learning, a guide on the side, to be able to work together with students to create the learning environment. You can see that we work with a lot of volunteers, and we have mentors and people digitally volunteer. The truth is, we've already had the 7.5 billion number come out today, but that is how many people are on the earth right now. Why should they not come and work with our students? So all we do is ask. So we have so many people from around the world that can help our students with grammar in their writing, people like the space scientists who are helping our students work on building the first satellite in Cambodia. So it's a game changer. So the idea of incorporating everyone onto our staff along with our teachers is an amazing thing. And students are very good at finding people and resources. But then thinking about that is that we also rethink the role of a student. So what is a student? A couple of things. I just want to say, first of all, they are capable of so much more than we sometimes give them credit for. Students, when they have an environment that is engaging and real, kids can do very, very powerful things, like write a 220-page book and distribute it to the whole country. They can do, that's 12-year-olds can do that kind of thing. So, and when they're more involved with their learning, and we know this for a fact, we've been doing it for 6 years now, when they're involved with their learning, and they have a chance to apply that learning to real things, true long-term learning can really occur. So just to finish up, we've already heard this morning, which I really appreciate. The world is changing really, really quickly. And so in schools, and not only in Cambodia, things are changing very quickly in Cambodia, but we really need to adapt our learning environments to that changing world. Also, secondly, I want to say that sometimes things have to go away. So that going back to our time, for us, we've had to rethink how we use time. Some of our more traditional courses have to be shrunk or something to do what we really care about, to really teach and we have to make the hard choices about how do we spend that 1,200 hours. And what do our kids really need to understand, and what kind of people do they really need to be? So we literally think about that every day, and we try to apply that. And just the last thing is when students just really learn better, when they're doing meaningful work, when things are authentic and relevant and engaging. It's very, very powerful. So basically, I would just say that if we want something bold, you have to do something bold. That's it.